I can still remember being a teenager and having my first exposure to a non-King James Bible given to me by my brother-in-law. I was fascinated with it for many reasons, which need not be told right now. But that was my biggest surprise. I started reading the Bible more keenly because I didn't have to push past a lot of King James language. Anyway, it was a good news Bible, by the way. And today's topic is Psalm 91. That preamble is basically to announce that in my mind, when I think Psalm 91, the words I think are, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." Verse 2, "I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust." Once you push past the old King James idea, nothing against King James, by the way, and you start to investigate more as a Bible student using other translations, you start to study from a different perspective. In those first two verses, we see God mentioned under four different names. Most High, El Elyon; Almighty, El Shaddai; the Lord, Yahweh; and my God, Elohim. El Elyon, El Shaddai, Yahweh, and Elohim. So many names for God. We start to ask questions as to who is the author of this psalm that is so intricate in the way it's put together. And I should tell you, it's intricately put together. It is a poem beyond poems, I would say. A structure that is not transparent, and it needs a lot of study. One of the things that Bible scholars say about Psalm 91 is that it's a chiasm. Probably one of the best known chiasms, not from the Bible, is "a winner never quits and a quitter never wins." Psalm 91 supposedly accompanies Psalm 90. Psalm 90 has been attributed to Moses as the author. And I suspect that Psalm 91, while it doesn't identify the author, is frequently also attributed to Moses. So here I am looking at this psalm and thinking, Moses, how and when and where? And I think I have a connection. If it is indeed Moses, in my own mind, I'm thinking that Moses is writing this to Joshua. Hopefully you are familiar with the relationship between these two individuals. Scripture shows us that Joshua was a young aide to Moses. There are several passages we can use to investigate the relationship and get more background on the relationship. Starting with Exodus chapter 17. My Bible headlines this section, "The Amalekites Defeated." Verse 8 says, "The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, 'Choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands.'" Moses goes to the hill with his arms raised. He has his staff and he's raising his arms. And Joshua is taking the men out to fight the Amalekites. And when Moses' arms are raised, the Israelites are winning. And when his arms start to tire and start to fall, the Israelites are losing. So we're told that his assistants put him on a rock to sit down, and they hold up his arms, and this is how the Israelites win the battle. You were saying that God fought this battle, not Joshua, but Joshua was the one who led the army out to fight the Amalekites. Moving on to Exodus chapter 24, verse 13 says, "Then Moses set out with Joshua his aide, and Moses went up the mountain of God," Sinai. Moses is on the mountain for 40 days. And Exodus 32, we have the golden calf incident as Moses is coming down from the mountain. Verse 17 says, "When Joshua heard the noise of the people shouting, he said to Moses, 'There is the sound of war in the camp.'" We know exactly what was going on, the golden calf incident. In chapter 33, Exodus 33, in verse 11, we're told that The Lord would speak to Moses face to face as he speaks to a friend. Then Moses would return to the camp, but his young aide, Joshua, son of Nun, did not leave the tent. The conclusion we are having here is that Joshua is not only loyal to Moses, but is extremely faithful to God. He is developing in his heart a yearning to be in the presence of God. As he sees Moses, he is thinking, yes, I want more of what he has, that relationship with God. And we know that God chooses Joshua to be the next leader of the people. There's a passage I need to get back to, and it's Exodus chapter 23, starting at verse 20. God's angel to prepare the way. And it says, "See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion, since my name is in him. If you listen carefully to what he says and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies and will oppose those who oppose you. My angel will go ahead of you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, and I will wipe them out. Do not bow down before their gods or worship them or follow their practices. You must demolish them and break their sacred stones to pieces. Worship the Lord your God, and his blessing will be on your food and water. I will take away sickness from among you, and none will miscarry or be barren in your land. I will give you a full lifespan. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw into confusion every nation you encounter. I will make all your enemies turn their backs and run. I will send a hornet ahead of you to drive out the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites out of your way." Again, the case I'm making is for Moses as potential author of the psalm, writing it with an audience in mind, and I'm trying to make the point that the closest person to Moses, I think, is Joshua, his young aide, as the scriptures refer to him, his general who he sends out to go and fight battles, the one who goes up the mountain with him, the one who is at the tent of meeting with Moses, his young aide, the heir apparent that God will choose to lead the Israelites not only into the promised land, but to be their leader as they claim the land for the years they're there, over 50 years. Because he's referred to as Moses' young aide, we'll see that when they left Egypt, Joshua was probably a teenager, maybe approaching 20. We know that Joshua and Caleb are the only individuals of a certain age cohort and older who actually made it to the promised land. So it's not that vital to understand how old he is, but he's certainly young. Moses, we know, is 80 years old when he goes to Pharaoh and says that God has said, let his people go. So there's about a 60-year age difference between the two of them, which is why even though Joshua is skilled enough to go and lead the army to fight the Amalekites, he is certainly a very young man. So he's young and he's talented, and he's patient. He's waiting for a long time. Not that he wants to, but he's chosen, and he's ultimately going to be very loyal. Not just loyal, as I said, to Moses, but he's certainly faithful to God. And Moses has been a very good example for Joshua. Joshua has had 40 years to observe God relating to Moses, and certainly then to inherit that mantle, so to speak. The passage I want to focus on is Joshua chapter 5, the fall of Jericho. And I want to make the connection between the passage we looked at involving the angel being sent to go ahead of them and to assist them to what happens at Jericho. So reading Joshua 5, the fall of Jericho, starting at verse 13. Now when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord I have now come." Then Joshua fell face down to the ground in reverence and asked him, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" The commander of the Lord's army replied, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy." and Joshua did so. Have we heard these words before? Like 40 plus years? Moses being told, take your shoes from off your feet because the place where you're standing is holy. Deja vu of sorts. I'm trying to make a connection now here to say that the same angel of the Lord is leading Moses into the presence of God, is leading Joshua, letting him know that God has chosen him and God will fight the battles and God will bring the victory. So Joshua is told, be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And as he goes into the land, he's being reminded now that the Lord is going to fight the battle. Joshua chapter 5, and give them the victory. With a strange strategy, marching around the walls of the city 7 times, and the walls collapsing, and no fighting going on. Very interesting military strategy, showing that it was not the people, but it was God. This is a psalm of comfort. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord, who is my refuge, then no harm will befall you, no disaster will come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Again, the idea that Moses, as author, could be writing and comforting Joshua about what is to come seems as though it fits well with this psalm. With long life will I satisfy you. Joshua lives to 110 years old. And show him my salvation. Joshua gets to enter the promised land and to conquer the land. God conquers the land with Joshua as the leader. And you can see that as showing him the salvation. I will rescue and protect him. He acknowledges my name. Joshua is at the tent of meeting close to Moses' side. When Moses goes back to his tent, Joshua is staying at the tent of meeting, comforted by the presence of God. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. I think Joshua is honored in this passage. It's also instructive that Moses changed Joshua's name, changed it from Hosea to Joshua, Yeshua. I think you can see where I'm headed right now. Jesus, same name, Yeshua. As you look at the psalm, then you can think of God speaking about Jesus, Moses speaking to Joshua. There is a sense of interesting parallelism there between Moses, Joshua, God the Father, Jesus. Again, I'm not enough of a Bible scholar to claim this as gospel, but it's a very interesting pattern there. A chiasm, if I may say it myself.